Hey, this is Mark Allen. Thanks for watching 4-Color Commentary. Going to do another video here in just a moment at from the Comic Empire of Tulsa. Got together with Mike McCormick, owner, operator, and Kenny from Comic Book Straight Talk, another YouTube channel. And what these guys do, the guys of Comic Book Straight Talk, is they get together and they just talk comics, man. They just talk comics. They gather every once in a while in the basement of the Comic Empire, and they talk comics, new comics, old comics, and just comic news and that kind of thing. So check them out, Comic Book Straight Talk. But in just a moment, we'll get to that video. We just talked about, Mike and Kenny and I just talked about underrated artists, talked about some of the most disappointing runs from some of our favorite artists, things of that nature. But first and foremost, or before that, I should say, recently went to a sale at Vintage Stock, and I'm gonna highlight some of the haul I've gotten the last couple of weeks in a later video. But you know, one of the things that was happening at Vintage Stock was their fantastic BOGO buy one get one free 4th of July weekend sale, and so I was going through their dollar boxes as I do, and you know, I've mentioned about dollar boxes before. They're a great way to pick up and read some of the series that you didn't get to read just a few years ago because they were just too expensive, and you didn't have the budget for it. I mean, let's face it, $3.99 per comic on average, that's a bit much for people these days, for a lot of people anyway. But did get to pick up been picking up a couple of series from just a few years ago. This one, Invincible Iron Man, the 2015 series. And this is actually, I took this one out of the bag just because it has this beautiful double cover here. And started reading this, got the first 5 issues. Read the first issue, and really it was a great first read, and just some great work and beautiful art, and just enjoying it. As Brian Michael Bendis wrote it, David Marquez is the artist, and you know, Bendis I know, Marquez I'm fairly new to because I don't read that many new comics, but really enjoyed the first issue of that. Looking forward to the next 4 and going on from there. But essentially at the BOGO sale, it was that came out of the dollar bin, so basically 50-cent comics. You can't beat that. Now, another series I've been going back and seeing for the first time just recently, the first 4 issues of this, and this is the 2013 DC New 52 Batman Superman series. The Jay Lay art has just really been Greg Pak stories. Jay Lee art has just been amazing. These have been amazing stories. I've read the first 2 so far, and really been a surprise and satisfied with those. And so that's been a good read so far. And then now this one is one that I read back in the 90s. Fantastic. I'm going to have to do a review video on it. I believe I did a video back in the day for Suspended Animation, or I did a review, I'm sorry, a syndicated review for Suspended Animation. Never done a video on it, but I'm going to have to. But that is the series JLA from 1997. This is issue 1. I found it on eBay for a very affordable price, and so, you know, it's one of those books that's kind of all over the place. Some people will want up to $20 for a nice copy. I did not pay near that for mine, but this series was just a very nostalgic for me because this was a series that brought back the sense of awe to the Justice League. The stories were, and literally an overused word, but they were epic. They were just amazing. The art by Howard Porter was fantastic. The stories by Grant Morrison equally so. Just really great stuff. If you never read that series, JLA series from 1997, it was kind of in a sense kind of a game changer, but also in a sense bringing back the what used to be of the Justice League. What, you know, that sense of just amazing power gathered together to do good things, and yet you know, many great challenges even to those powerful individuals, and just great stories. All right, but anyway, thanks for watching. I'm going to go on to the video, and we're going to just get into kind of what we talked about there, a little bit of artist talk, and then also just I kind of finished it off with a look at Mike's wall. And Mike just had a sale just recently, a half price sale, but he also he's already replenished a lot of that, and just some of the books that you see in Comic Empire of Tulsa, just amazing sometimes. So I got good shots of the DC wall and the Marvel, DC Indie wall and the Marvel wall, and we'll finish with that. But anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Hey, listen, I won't be able to say it after this, but thanks for watching for color commentary. So, most underrated comic book artist.
Jim Aparo.
Jim Aparo?
Oh, we were just talking about that.
Most underrated comic book artist.
Oh, Gray Morrow.
Gray Morrow?
Russ Heath.
Russ Heath?
Paul Smith.
Paul Smith?
I don't know. You
No,
can name a whole bunch of them.
Okay.
They should be Hall of Famers in art.
See, I'd go with Sal Buscema, who we were just talking about.
Yeah, there you go.
Sal Buscema, who known like you said as a fill-in and sometimes a cleanup artist, but
he was a good one.
had
He was a good pro with that.
had some of the most legendary runs on books.
Yeah, he wasn't just a fill-in artist. I mean, he would be assigned to do his own books too, and he'd finish them and somebody else's as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how many pages you say sometimes you turn out a day?
I read online that you could crank out 8 pages a day.
Up to 8 pages a day.
Yeah, I believe it.
I believe it.
And now you can't get 8 pages a month out of some artists.
No, they squawk and moan that they're being overworked.
It's a sweatshop. But, okay.
Like Kirby.
Well, then let me ask.
Crank out 8 issues a month.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: what's the most disappointing run or disappointing work you've ever seen from one of your favorite artists?
Oh, I don't know. I think every artist probably had a project that his heart wasn't in it or something, and he just went through the motions and cranked it out. And,
Well, name one, okay? Because some of your guys are.
I'm sure you could probably find a few.
Mike Mignola ever turn anything out that you were like, eh?
Yeah, there was an annual that he did at Marvel. Mignola should not be drawing superheroes.
He shouldn't do superhero.
Unless it's a dark superhero like Batman or something.
Yeah, that one shot he did for Legends of the Dark Knight's pretty cool. That's true.
Yeah, Gotham by Gaslight was.
That's true too.
Was fantastic.
But you can work Batman in a horror method occasionally, so he could do that. But if you had Mignola drawing, Ms. Marvel, it would be horrible. So
yeah, I agree. And yet the work he did on Alpha Flight, I mentioned this before, but the work he did on Alpha Flight in the '80s, right after John Byrne.
Yeah, and he had his style was different.
Actually,
he had a whole different style in those days.
Wasn't that different?
You could tell it was him for sure.
But one of the villains they went after, if you remember, was a guy who you couldn't kill him, even if you sliced him up into different pieces. He still came, as he said in the book, death comes crawling for you, little man. I mean, as his hands are going to, I mean, you're smiling because I know you're probably thinking, man, that was garbage. But I loved that run of Alpha Flight.
It'd still be high quality in this
yeah, compared to today, yeah. You're right.
I was trying to think of anything that John Byrne did, because I've always been a Byrne head. I'd say
to me,
his
it was never.
Overrated.
His art would fluctuate, but it was always pretty decent for his art. It was the writing. His writing wasn't always.
I've always said Terry Austin was the real genius behind John Byrne.
Well, there's no doubt Terry Austin's inks worked really well with his, and he probably gets tired of hearing that. I'm sure most artists do.
Right.
I know Gene Colan always hated when he mentioned Tomb of Dracula, and they'd oh, Tom Palmer's inks were awesome. It's like, I did the pencils, okay. So, but. Yeah, I can't think of too much. Yeah, there was a period there in the 90s or early 2000s when Byrne's art was sort of, he simplified it down real quick. Because I think he was trying to be a writer. He was spending more time trying to do that.
I think some of your favorite Byrne work has been the Star Trek books that he's.
Oh man, those were awesome. In fact, everybody kept asking. There were guys who bought those who never bought a Star Trek book of their entire life. They didn't care anything about Star Trek, and I thought that was doomed from the start because it was pricey. I think they were $7.99 or something, and they outsold the regular $3.99 Star Trek.
What are those called?
So,
it's like Star Trek remixed or something like that, but it's not. That's not it.
Yeah, he was using
New Visions.
New Visions.
New Visions.
There you
Yeah,
go.
the Star Trek New Visions stuff was great. In fact, most people were all moaning that it's over. Where are they? I'm like, well, I don't know. He quit doing them, so I don't know what happened. But those licensed products always have a lot of lawyers and paperwork and contracts behind them that something goes wrong with that show's over. So it doesn't matter if the book was selling well or not selling well.
Yeah.
If that contract's up, it's done. So
Well, he's doing an X-Men story that he's only releasing on his site right now. I think he's doing an X-Men story that
no good.
That he
More
doesn't- that he
digital,
doesn't want
digitally
Marvel to-
exclusive streaming stuff that
Right.
nobody actually gets to see because nobody will pay for it.
right.
Yeah, lovely. So
Well, what
who
does
knows?
he? What does he care?
Yeah, well, if it ever comes into a hardcover, trade paperback, I might check
Well,
it
there's
out.
something that he didn't want Marvel to have it, or didn't want them to. He didn't want to. I don't know what.
I can't
his
blame
deal
the
with
creators for that.
He's.
You know?
I think he didn't want any editorial
You know,
changes.
a few years ago, Marvel's moaning they couldn't get any big name talent to come work for them, and well, there's reasons why, Marvel. So why do they want to watch you make a movie out of one of their creations, and
Yeah.
you see billions of dollars, and they don't see one penny, do they? So,
I think-
No,
can't-
they have to go to court just to get credit in the
yeah.
Yeah.
credits.
Exactly.
I think
So that's why the good creators, the smart, the good artists, other than variant covers, which is where most artists are today, the talented ones, because the money's good and you do one piece, and you make great money. So I can see why a lot of them are flocking to that,
Yeah.
especially in the explosion of variants. But
well,
but hey, if you're a creative writer, why would you
Yeah.
go create anything for Marvel or DC? Why not go do it at Dark Horse or Image, and you're going to be the owner, right? So if they ever make a movie or a TV show out of that, you're going to be the one to see the
there
millions.
you go.
Hey, just ask Kirkman, see how he likes it.
I think
I think he likes Walking Dead pretty
and
well.
I think about it. I think my most disappointing John Byrne work for me was that Marvel: The Lost Generation.
I don't even remember it. Yeah, I do. I vaguely remember that. I vaguely remember putting that in the discount box. I do remember many of those ended up there.
He created a lot of new characters.
Yeah,
They just were really stinky characters.
they weren't very. Well, I say, it's funny because John
They
Byrne.
weren't Wolverine.
No, they weren't Wolverine.
John Byrne ruled the '80s basically, and then he just seemed to fall off the cliff in the '90s.
Mhm.
And he's. But I always thought he was a talented guy. If he stuck with his art, but he had this thing about being a writer, and not that because like his run on Fantastic Four and some of that was really well done.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, one of your favorite cult Byrne things that nobody seems to ever remember was his Namor.
Namor.
Namor
I was gonna
stuff,
say,
which was really pretty good as well.
It was. Well, I was gonna mention that because I was gonna ask you, what about underrated series?
Yeah, well,
Because
I
that
thought
was
would
to
be a
me
big
that was one of my.
for,
I think an underrated series. I thought Namor was beautifully done and really an original idea for this, for the King of the Seven Seas to.
Well, my underrated series would have been from the '70s, like Tomb of Dracula,
Right.
or this.
Master of
Rush
Kung
out
Fu.
and buy it today, kids.
There you
It's
go.
awesome.
You can get
One
it
of the
right here
best.
at the-
Buy it- I was gonna say,
yeah,
buy it
Comic
here.
Empire, yeah.
Right here.
One of the best underrated Marvel series from the '70s was Master of Kung Fu. So, Quentin Tarantino's favorite book, guys.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
and when
And
you
see-
look at the book, you can see why it's such a cinematic book.
it is.
And that's where I first saw Paul Gulacy. I'm sure he did other work somewhere, his early pre-Marvel work, if you will, but I don't know what it was and if it is. But I've never, those to me
And
are...
it's color.
Yeah,
It's color.
yeah, those epic... that's one thing
Color.
Marvel has done pretty well lately. These epic collections have been really pretty decently done.
They're decently priced, and not for
No,
Marvel.
you're going to pay, but you get a lot of issues. I mean, you're getting issue, I think 29
Oh, yeah.
and 50. So what's that?
No, it
21
works.
issues and an annual. So you're getting your money's worth.
Sure.
And what I really miss about Master of Kung Fu was that the original books. It was one of the best letter pages of the '70s as well. It was a really interesting letter page. But then of course they're not reprinting that.
Well, I've got almost the entire run, missing number 15, of which was his first appearance. Missing that.
Comic
Not
Empire.
Master of Kung Fu 15. What was it before it was Master of Kung Fu?
Marvel Spectacular.
Marvel
Or
Special
Spotlight.
Spotlight, something like that one. But
Just Mike.
anyway,
One that you could buy out of the dollar box for years, and now it's like
Yeah.
$4 billion.
I know. I even have number 16, but I don't have that number 15. But,
Okay.
I'll probably do. I don't really. For me, I don't necessarily. I don't need to read that first appearance. to enjoy the rest of it, because that's
Yeah.
literally, with only one or two exceptions, that's the only one I don't have of the entire run. Galacey's run.